Shepherd is going home and fight with the landlord.
That's not me.
No, no,
That's
no,
not
no.
All right, okay, he's coming back because he went to do something else.
Okay, Nancy's our secretary, and she's
All right.
sitting here.
Okay.
Well, for another 10 minutes or so till we do elections. All right, welcome everybody, welcome. We have a lot of things on our agenda tonight, because we have lots of exciting things going on. Let me call the attendance. Joan Coco,
Yeah,
Rosemary Di Benedetto.
Here.
Thank you. FYI to everyone, Rosemary is now a full member. Karen Fotino actually wrote to me and said she wouldn't be able to come tonight. Karen Janowski. Here. John Parsons.
Here.
Karen Panett.
here.
Jean Prado. Here. Marilyn Shapley here. Debbie Small.
You know, I appreciate it.
Nancy Twadros.
Yes.
Becky Behenna. Linda Connors.
Here.
Welcome. Linda is our new member, associate member. Beverly Cuneo. Sally Hoyt. And Sally is now an associate member, just FYI. She stepped down from full member to associate.
She was at the senior center this birthday.
Oh, another birthday. That's great. Nancy Zimlack. Here. All right, we have a quorum, so we are in session at 6:33. Welcome. All right, going down the agenda. You asked Chris to put the building early. Did you mean very first thing? What did you mean?
Just in the first, what do you put those
Under ongoing?
in the first, yeah, pretty close to the first thing. It doesn't have to be the first thing.
Well, do you want us to do the elections and the minutes and all of that first, or do you have a need for it to be earlier?
We can do elections first if you want, and then we can go into that.
All right. Elections, everything is up for grabs. We have one-year appointments to everything we do. I have expressed my desire to have someone else take a turn at chair. I've done it for 2 years. I did secretary for 7. I'm ready to rotate out, although staying on the board by all means. If anyone would like to volunteer.
I think you just have to step aside and Chris, don't you run the meeting or Jen?
I think so, yeah, one of you has to run the meeting. I'm not allowed to run this, is my understanding. Hi, Mark.
And Beverly's here too.
Beverly arrived, okay. I believe I cannot run the election, so I don't know who wants to.
Chris, you can go ahead and do it. Basically, you're just asking people's opinions.
What's that?
You can do it. I can do it as well, but
I'm happy to do it, as long as I get a little help.
of course.
This is the first time?
It's time for
All
everybody.
right, so elections.
Chair, co-chair, secretary, and liaison, two liaisons, right?
So we'll start with the chair and co-chair. All right, so we'll start with the chair.
So we need nominations,
So we need nominations.
or self-nominations, people can volunteer.
Or self ones.
I'm not running it.
I nominate Nancy Zemlick.
She can't be the chair because she's on the board of registrars, correct? Can only be an associate.
I've quit. or
Oh,
will be
okay.
quit As of tomorrow.
Oh, I did not know that.
And I'll second that nomination.
And I'll third it.
But she can't be, as an associate.
Yeah, as an associate, you
I checked
can't.
before.
Oh, you can be the chair as an associate?
Yeah, it's not traditional.
And it's
It's,
fine, it's fine with me, it's absolutely fine, I have no problem with it at all.
She
I just thought, it couldn't be an associate.
She got it in writing.
Okay, it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I spoke up.
I'll share that, to our knowledge, it's never been done before. There is no legal reason why it can be done. It's a matter of policy, if you will, so I leave it up to the board. I do like the fact that Nancy said that she was resigning from the board of registrars. I do like that.
So Nancy, why you were an associate and not a full member?
I was an associate. I gave up my position because I became a registrar.
Okay,
and I couldn't be a full member, a voting member as the registrar. So,
but now you
but I
could be again.
could what?
If there were an opening,
If
Yeah,
there were an
if there's
opening.
Okay,
yes,
But you are still an associate.
yes.
Yeah, okay. And you're very great chair. Chairperson, I'm sorry. I've been chastised saying that once before.
so now you're
All right.
saying, are there any other nominations?
Are there any other nominations? All right, now we need
Oh,
to.
for me? No. For chair? No. I was gonna, no.
And this is where we need to vote?
Yes.
All right. I don't have the, yes, please.
And you only have to call the members, not the associates. They're at the top.
All right, Joan Coco?
Yes. Yeah, what do you want? Yes.
Yes.
Or the yes. Rosemary?
Yes.
Karen, not here. Karen Janowski?
Yes,
John Parsons?
Yes.
Karen
Yes.
Alicia's. Jean Prado?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Deborah Smalls? Not here. And Nancy Twardo?
Yes.
so now you hand it over to Nancy.
And Nancy runs the rest of the meeting.
Oh, great.
I give you a bunch
Oh,
of
that was a short-lived-
information.
that was a short-lived job.
Thank you. I'll help you if you need help.
Good job, Chris.
Excellent, well
That
done,
entailed more.
well done.
I thought you stayed for the rest of the meeting.
The select board handed it over the minute they had their new.
You know what?
Chair.
Yeah. So now we need to have nominations for the vice chair.
If he's willing to do it again, I nominate
I'm
John
willing to do it
Parsons.
again, but if somebody else wants to, I've had it for 2 or 3 years. If someone else is interested, speak up.
I'll second John Parsons.
Oh,
Nominations?
any other nominations? Okay, let's take a vote.
Again, just the members at the top.
Joan Coco,
Yes.
Rosemarie,
Yes.
Karen Janowski,
Yes,
John Parsons,
Yes.
Karen Panett,
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes,
and Nancy T.
yes.
Okay,
2 down.
2 down.
Yeah, here's a tough one.
Some of them are links.
Okay, so now we are taking nominations for secretary.
I nominate Nancy Twadros.
Second,
I second it.
All right, let's,
Any other nominations?
any other nominations? Thank you. No? Okay, let's take a vote. Joan Coco,
Yes.
Rosemarie,
Yes.
Karen Janowski,
yes.
John Parsons.
Yes.
Karen Panett,
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
and Nancy.
Yes.
And was did anybody else come on? Did I get everybody? Okay.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
We had, I brought up at another meeting about having somebody from town hall take the minutes like they do for other committees. Where are we with that?
I will look into that.
Okay. Because I know that they just watch the YouTube video and then I know that's how the SWEC meeting goes and so I just wondered about that.
And we used to have a town person.
Yeah, no, for SWEC, it's Jackie in my office that does it. I mean, and she does it for a few other committees. I'll look into that. I don't know who has time, who has capacity. I'll look into that.
But that is one of the responsibilities of our new secretary, But I just wondered about, how is it decided which committees, which boards have town take minutes and which ones don't?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's historically maybe it's and I don't know what has happened before, but like it's usually those that have staff assigned to them, I'll say that. The
SWEC has staff assigned to them.
SWEC is an ad hoc committee of the select board, so it's a little different. Like it's not a permanent committee.
We have an administrator, we have a staff administrator.
Who's very busy doing programming for you, and I would rather him
Yeah.
spend time on programming than in minutes, right? I mean, for sure.
And the history is that they used to have someone from the town do it before they got me to do it for 7 years.
You were too nice.
I know I was too nice.
Nancy is very nice.
She's very organized.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
thorough.
Yes.
I've seen minutes
Really
before we
great
even get
typer.
home.
I take meeting minutes for recreation. So I know that you all are going to be meeting on the same Monday. So on the days that I'm here, every other, I don't mind taking that over, Nancy, if it's, you're not going to be there or you want to break for a month. I'm happy to help.
Jenna? Oh, that's awesome. We'll chat about it. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome.
Thanks, Jonna.
Great, thank you very much.
3 down.
3 down. Now approve June minutes.
No, we have the liaisons.
Oh, sorry. The liaisons. We have 2 right now we have the liaison to the recalc and the liaison to the SWEC. So let's take the SWEC first. Any nominations?
If
or-
she's still willing, I nominate
she's
Karen
still willing.
Janowski.
Okay.
I second that.
Any other nominations?
Getting good at this.
All right, let's take a vote. Joan Coco,
Yes.
Rose Marie,
Yes.
Karen Janowski,
Yes.
and John Parsons,
Yes.
and Karen Jeanette,
Yes.
and Jean,
Yes.
and Marilyn,
Yes.
and Nancy.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Now we do recalc.
I nominate John Parsons if he's still willing.
I'm still willing to keep going with it.
Any other nominations? You would.
Any other
You're gonna
nominations?
have to learn to put a
I second John Parsons.
Okay, second for John Parsons. I already said any other nominations, so let's take a vote. Joan Coco
Yes.
and Rose Marie
Yes.
and Karen Janowski
Yes.
and John Parsons
Yes.
and Karen Panett,
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
and Nancy T.
Yes.
All right.
Congratulations. if you
Yes.
will.
Congratulations.
Okay,
So that's it with the elections, right?
that's the elections.
That's
Can we
it.
move up? Can we move up the buildings and grounds now?
Oh, beddings and grounds?
That's-
Discussion of concerns regarding building and grounds,
Yeah,
7:40.
I think
I
that's the
have an
one,
extra agenda here if anybody wants it.
the one I had asked to move up.
It's fine with me, I'm not
Yeah,
charging.
yeah. You want to move that up and discuss it right now?
If we can, yes.
Sure. Let's do that. I'm not, because I didn't put the agenda together, I'm not certain.
I think the letter comes there,
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that's why.
that's where I would have put it.
Okay. So there were 3 of us that, well, first of all, buildings and grounds. I'd like to thank Jean for being a mover and shaker who was able to work with the staff at the Pleasant Street Center. And our beds are looking pretty nice right now with bark mulch and
Well, that's because Jenna the next day had the team going and getting down there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah. So that's a good thing. And then Jean and Rosemary and I happened to get together and we were talking about the odor that is at the center. And we did talk a bit about it in another meeting, a past meeting. And we thought we should put together a letter that would go to the town manager and all the select board members. I have extra copies of the letter if anybody wants one.
I've got it up here.
Anybody
I have
else?
it. I have it.
I got it. Okay. And it would be CC to Chris and Jenna. And hopefully the board, has everybody had a chance to read it? And what we're asking is for the odor to be identified. It's a real live odor. It causes headaches, nausea. I'm actually one of those people that have experienced that. And what we'd like is to have the town figure out what that odor is and fix it. And basically, that's what this letter says. Discussion?
Yeah, I've got some questions on it. Just for openness, I was the first one who talked about sending a petition. And the petition I envisioned was gonna be a little more formal than what we have here. But at any rate, as far as the letter goes, it doesn't mention the first floor. And I think people like Nora Bucko have talked about how it does show up on the first floor. And
Okay.
if we're sending a letter, I want to be sure that it really is totally accurate. I mean, I'm down there at the senior center probably as much or more than anybody. And I have never heard until now that you said you had a problem, that people have had headaches, nausea, and the inability to continue with scheduled activities.
It's happened in one of the sessions that I've had on the second floor, which is called the upstairs kitchen. We were there around 10:30 in the morning, and personally feeling a little, but thought, oh, I didn't eat sufficient, so. But one of the participants in the class was sitting there, and then a gentleman came from across the hall asking if we had a stove in this kitchen. And I said, no. He said, because people are complaining from the other room that they smelling gas.
Oh, I'm not questioning.
And then we had to leave because one of the participants in this class or gathering was getting headache, and we had to leave.
I'm not questioning the odor at all. I mean, I can bridge down there, 52 times a year on a Friday morning, and we smell it. There's no doubt that we smell it. But out of the 16 of us or so that are there, I've never had known anybody to have a medical problem or an actual problem.
That was mine, but then
Okay.
I've heard from others that have stated it.
Okay. Then it is accurate in the letter.
Should we be asking to have a air quality study done? Gas is only one of a million noxious things that can make air smell bad. I know there are companies all around, Google air quality tests near me. You'll see dozens of companies that do it. It doesn't seem extraordinarily expensive or difficult. And they will identify a whole range of what's in the air, what are you smelling? Solve the mystery.
One of the things that we did was we left finding the solution to the problem to the town.
Yeah.
So when the town comes up with an answer, they will have brought in the right people in order to determine it. And I think that was our thinking, as opposed to list examples of.
My other thought is, are there any records for town maintenance of this? I mean, a heating system, if it is the heating system and it does smell like gas, and people say gas has no odor, but they do put a solvent in it so you could be on the safe side. Who is maintaining it?
So I'm here because of this item, so I guess I'll say a few things. One is I've heard this in my time here, right? I've talked about it with facilities. We've talked about it at length, and facilities is responsible for maintaining all the buildings, right? Not just and actually I've been very pleasantly surprised with the way that buildings look. In my previous job, buildings were looked a little rougher, painting, paint chipping, right? So I am very happy with the way that.
And I say that wholeheartedly,
yeah.
I tell everyone, it's pristine.
Yeah, and since I got here, I know that I've talked to Rosemary about what needs to be fixed, and I think we've tried to address a lot of the concerns, right? And they range from blinds to doors. I think all kinds of things. So I have met with our facilities director. Our facilities director has been here for a long time, and he is responsible for all the buildings. We contract out the maintenance of all heating systems to one company. It's called Cooling and Heating. It's a contract, and they're actually the same company that I used in Chelsea. So they're pretty big. It's a big entity, and they do annual maintenance, right? And they have done annual maintenance on the units in the senior center. So what we believe, right? And I think if there's problems that are easy to solve and problems that are a little bit harder, right? If this was a pipe that had a leak, it would be easy to fix, right? You would find the leak and you would patch it up and you'd be all done, right? This is a little bit more nuanced from what I understand from Joe. So my understanding is that the way that the building operates basically is that there is some of the air so all buildings have an exhaust and an intake, right? That's how it works. So basically, it moves air around. What he believes is that some of the air is brought back into the building, and that is where the smell comes from. Unfortunately, the unit is on the roof, right? So replacing that unit is not a piece of cake. It's big and he doesn't know how to go ahead and do that. So what we're looking for is other solutions to basically try to fix it. I am glad that we know that it's only in the wintertime, right? Because that is very helpful, and I'm glad that we all agree on that, right? I'm glad we all agree on that. And actually, I'm glad that John Parson questioned whether it's reason to shut down the building, for example. I don't believe that it is. I know that I've talked to our fire department. Our fire department has been there on several occasions at my request, like just to ensure that the when we talk about a liability issue and a safety issue, right? I don't believe in my opinion that exists. It's something that needs to be fixed, but I don't know that it's going to be reason to shut down the building, for example. However, I will say that it is an old building, right? It is probably inadequately designed, right? And it's probably it was renovated in 1990, so we're coming up on 30 some years, right?
Could be a new system that's needed.
Yeah, so this again. I mean, I'm glad that we're continuing on the push to address the entire building, and I'm here just to say that we take it seriously. We know that it is something that has to be fixed. If it was something that if it was a filter that would be changed, it would be done. It's a bigger issue.
But Fidel, what we are looking for is a plan within the next 30 days and it to be resolved prior to the heat being turned on for this winter. And it is a terrible, terrible smell. you should turn the heat on and go sit up in Anna's little space up there.
Okay.
It makes
That's
you
tomorrow.
throw up. It's what it
know.
does. It's terrible.
What the temperature is tomorrow, what else? 84.
I'd like to suggest that an air quality study be done. What I've read a little bit, you Google it, it takes 5 minutes to know a whole lot more than you probably know now, it's my experience. I doubt, not that there's anything wrong with our fire department or facilities, but I doubt that they have the testing equipment that does this from what I've read. They can test for specific things. You know, the article I read said even OSHA doesn't test for all things, they have specific. I would love to know what it is rather than we think it's this, we think it's that. Let's test the air and find out what it is.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're asking for. I've done those in the past when there is an issue with something, right? It's not, you know, it's usually you're trying to find something, right? So what I'm hearing is that it's not an issue that happens in the summertime, and I've heard that from multiple parties. So doing an air quality study sample right now, I don't think it's gonna be that, the answer.
But in the fall it will, it's not far away.
But it's good, isn't it good to have a baseline
Yes.
to see?
So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things. One is my understanding is that it only happens in the winter, and my understanding is that it comes and goes. It's not a permanent smell. I've been there many times. Not quite as much as Mr. Parsons, but I've been there a few times, and I've never smelled it. Right? So it is not constant.
But it is a true issue, which is why we're putting this letter together
the other thing
and
is-
why we would like to see some action. So if an air quality control study,
Okay.
Well, come on, I'm not.
Joan, maybe you wanna mute yourself?
Yeah.
You're talking, that's all. Don't mute yourself if you wanna talk to us, obviously.
The other thing is, maybe could we have National Grid come in? Maybe it's something on the street coming in when the heat is turned on and piping it in. How about having them come in with their equipment and testing the system?
Yeah, the National Grid it's a free service, right? And
We're
if you
paying
have
for
a
this.
gas leak in your home, in your basement, and you smell gas, you call National Grid. If I smelled gas tomorrow morning, I would do that, right? I was in the building upstairs today for about 40 minutes, right? And there's no smell of gas. So if there was a broken pipe, it would be constant. You know what I mean? It's not something that would come and go, right? So it is something that is nuanced.
it is a free service though, so
It is,
it doesn't
I mean,
hurt.
maybe
I
they
mean,
should come
for
and
all
check
the
the
people-
system.
For all the people that are saying it's gas
Mhm.
and other people that are saying it's not gas,
It's gas,
can we,
it's gas.
can we at least get that out in the open, you know, for the National Grid to come in and take a look at it? Is it gas or is it not gas? See, it didn't smell like gas to me.
Well, sure does to me and everybody else that I know that's up there.
Air quality study, they'll tell you exactly what it is.
No, I think if we had an independent, and the people that service the town are great. My concern is perhaps there's new techniques or something that they might detect that they know that's at the present level to do. Maybe they come in and look at the system.
It's gotta be fixed before the fall, before the heat's turned on in the winter. It has to be.
Yeah, and with everything going on and the fact that it's been going on for a long time, Nancy, I can't commit to that at the moment. I do think that I can say that we are taking it very seriously. I understood your statement of 30 days for us to get back to you in terms of what we think is going on and then a response. I mean, I think that's appropriate. I don't know if it's gonna be replace the roof, right? Or if it's gonna be,
Yeah, whatever it is, let's find out what it is, let's get the truth out there and then see how much it's gonna cost.
Step by step, I agree with you.
And let's not limit ourselves to the assumption that it's gas. Let's think about an air quality study, find out what's really in the air that we're smelling.
Air quality is only gonna find it if it's happening at the
I
time.
know, well, any of the
But
things,
we
that's
could-
true.
Shut down the air conditioning and turn on the
Yes.
heat,
Yes.
we can do that. Yeah, it's gonna be a
We'll do
little
it tomorrow, it's
hot.
gonna be 84 degrees.
It's gonna be a little hot, but wear your t-shirts that
Right.
day and,
We'll do it on Friday at 12, how's that?
Okay.
That's good. When the building is vacant, that's what we should do.
that's not a bad idea. Or on a Saturday,
Sure.
But thank you, I just think it's something that needs to be addressed.
Sure.
Yes, and then I became very concerned when speaking with the individuals that this has been going on for 7, 8 years. I mean, it needs to be rectified.
So based on what Fidel just said, should we take out the word remediation and just say within the next 30 days with a detailed action plan?
sure.
Because that sounds like,
Okay, so that means if we take out remediation, it means,
we're still getting the next steps, but not necessarily what the solution will be. Sounds like, Fidel, you're asking for more time.
So we to be transparent, right? I mean, we have been chasing this internally for 2 months with our vendors. But the situation that we're in globally, right, is that vendors are too busy or understaffed, right? So for me to even get a quote of what it's going to take to fix that's taken 2 months, right? And this is a company that we do business with all the time, right? And we trust. It's a matter of capacity, and it's happening, in all aspects. I have shared with them the urgency. I certainly hope that within 30 days I will know what the fix is and how much it's going to cost, right? Because obviously those are two very important things. I don't know what the lead time is and how we're going to pay for it.
okay.
Right? Those are two things that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we can at least figure out what it is
Plan, yeah.
and how it can be solved.
Well, how can we figure out what the vendors you're talking about, I'm assuming are working on the theory that it's the exhaust thing? And we're saying that we think it's that, but if we had an air quality study, we might get more information. It'd be a shame to rip off the roof and replace it if that's not what it is. From what I read, there are specialists in different kinds of air quality issues, and there are lots of kinds of air particulates that can smell bad and make people ill. And there are people who do this as their business, and there's tons of them local, just.
Yeah, no, and this company is one of them.
They won't do it? Okay.
I'll say it a different way. If there was something with the air all the time, right, it would be a different conversation.
So something's triggering it.
Something is triggering it. We have explored it and we believe that it is related to the heating system. I think we all agree to that now at this point in the building. And if it was happening in the summertime right now, I would feel differently.
Okay.
But the fact that it's happening in the winter and it comes and goes, right? It certainly points to that theory.
Excuse me, what about the other thought of, has anyone gone in to check the vent system? Maybe that needs to be vacuumed out,
Yeah,
take off those vents?
they have. So they were in there for about 2 hours on Friday.
Oh, good, thank you.
So this is the kind of thing that we would be looking for in a report. The town did this, this, and this. And the timeline, and these were the results. So can I Can I ask, does anybody else have any changes to this letter?
Could I ask one other question?
Yeah,
Chris, you're the one that wanted this moved up, so there's obviously some interest from you, but you haven't chimed in at all. Do you have anything to say?
Sorry,
Did that for.
I asked him for the,
You asked him to do
yes,
that?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's only so I can go home, that's all.
yeah.
That's the only reason why.
So does would anybody, if we take out the word remediation from this letter, does anybody want to make any other changes to this letter? Oh, did we want to add the first floor? Who
I
suggested
think
that?
we should.
I think Rosemary is,
Okay.
you're muted, Rosemary.
Can't hear you.
You're muted.
Rosemary.
Still muted, Rosemary.
Rosemary, you're muted.
Jeez.
You can't unmute.
Rosemary,
She's saying
Rosemary, you're muted.
she-
Said I know.
Oh, shit.
She can't get
Tell
herself.
her to log out and log.
Text it,
Or she
put it in the
can
chat.
just log out and log back in.
Can you put it in the chat, Rosemary?
Or log out and log back in.
I just asked to unmute.
You unmute her?
Asked to unmute.
So it would say on the first and second floor? Okay.
Not in the basement?
Outside, you know,
Outside.
on Haven Street, off Pleasant Street, yeah.
I don't know what there is for heat in the basement.
I mean, there's.
Hot air.
Yeah, I mean, I work on the computer sometimes down there too, I've never noticed.
It's mold, it's musty
Oh,
down
no.
there.
Oh, I know it is.
Let's not complicate the letter.
No. First and second floor, where, who suggested first? Where
Nora Bucko has mentioned to me that when she's in exercise classes, she can
That was
smell.
upstairs on the second floor.
I think she said on the first floor too.
How about if I check with her? And
Okay.
if she said first floor, I'll add it.
Oh,
And
Rosemary, you're unmuted now.
Yes, and I want you to know everybody was muted. I see all these microphones crossed off. And when I try to unmute, nothing would happen, and the screen had a different color to it.
Huh.
So anyway, my input to this discussion is that this problem I am aware of going on back to when Sharon Thomas was in charge of the center. And through the years, we have been evacuated many times. The fire department comes, the police department comes, and ambulance comes. The town has been aware of it. There is definitely an odor that comes on when the heat comes on. It's not on during the summer. And upstairs, our personnel has been living with this and breathing it through the years. It's not good for them. We're there temporarily when we come in for a class and leave, but people become aware of it. And for employees who are up through all that time, I don't know if it's doing any harm to their health or not, but it's been an ongoing issue. And if you want, you can check out with the police department, see how often they've been called here. When Jane Burns was here, she and I were working on this, not working on it, discussing it. And at that time, I said to her, how many times has the town equipment come out here for these calls? So we had an additional problem with the stove and the pilot light here. That was a leak too that we could smell downstairs. So I think the stove has been shut off at this point. We're not using it, but we definitely have something going on the second floor.
can I, it sounds like we're all in agreement here in this room that there is a smell and that it needs to be resolved. Would someone like to make a motion that we can send this letter with the changes to,
I'll motion it. I'll make the motion.
okay.
So moved.
Okay.
I have one quick question. question, Nancy. Are you gonna send a letter with this attached? I don't think we should send it with signatures.
You and I had talked about this. I was thinking we'll just send it with the names, not with the signatures or the emails.
Right.
But just the names. So it could go with this.
Why wouldn't you send the signatures so that it, you know, it's kind of official?
Well, I just don't know if we should be sending people's signatures out and about.
But it's a,
It's more the emails than other concern.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
I,
taking out the
yeah,
emails,
just
right?
block off the.
I'm gonna block off the emails.
And actually, we should have received those emails either.
What, I know. So pretend you didn't see.
But it's a petition and people have signed it, so why would you?
Good, I mean, if you're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
sign
what
it, if
petitions
you're gonna
are
sign a
like.
public document, I think the signature should say.
Signatures are
Yeah.
fine, but it's the email.
Okay, so we'll take the email off.
Okay.
Okay, so we take the email off, and I'm gonna call Nora and see what she thinks of the first, if the smell is on the first floor. And if so, I will add that.
So we vote.
So let's vote. Joan Coco, are you in favor of the motion to send the letter
As it.
as amended?
She's,
She can't get unmuted. Something is wrong with this program tonight. She's muted, Beverly's muted.
There we go.
I'm not, I'm fine, yes.
You're better.
Yes.
I got
Yes,
it, I got it.
okay. Rosemarie
Yes.
and Rosemarie and Karen Janowski
Yes.
and John Parsons.
yes,
And Karen Panett
Yes.
and Jean Prado
Yes.
and Marilyn
Yes.
Shapley and Nancy T.
Yes.
Okay. So it has been voted unanimously to send the letter to the town manager and the select board members to resolve this issue of the odor. And I think we can move on to the next item.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you for that. There were other building issues.
Oh, there were.
I don't know if Rosemary had any other building issues on her list of questions. I don't think you do.
Do you have any other issues you want to bring up, Rosemarie, related to the building?
Of your long list of questions, were any others?
That we need Fidel for.
Well, we always need him.
Well, if there are, let's table that to the next meeting so we can move on. We need to approve the June minutes. What mistakes have I made this time?
We're short tomorrow.
Thank you for coming.
Dell, thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you for your time and for your patience.
Nothing that's important enough to change.
Actually, you know, Jackie Behenna was here, Beverly Cuneo was here, absent. Joan
See, I want the Jackie.
Small, Sally White, and Sandy Schaefer were absent. The EHS funding request, it was for now, the ARPA funds are the primary things. It's not.
Where are you?
We're down on EHS funding requests.
Okay.
We're not looking at the
The ARPA funds are the primary funds
Yeah, I'd say
that
for
will be
now.
used.
I would add for now. It
Okay.
wasn't for all of eternity, was my understanding, just for now.
It said, although, anyways, okay, for now.
Well, it talks about this period, but it doesn't say what this period is. My name was misspelled on new senior center outreach, no T at the end.
Typo.
Yeah. And town is TOWN, not TOW, same sentence. No biggies.
Can only go up. You can't go down.
Oh, I understand, it's just a small thing. I think that the garden beds got pruned and mulched after Jean Prado's effort after the meeting, not
I know.
Prior to-
I read
I just
this,
crossed that
I read
sentence
this and I thought,
I
oh, I
just-
think I'm mixing two meetings here, but
That's right, I
it
just
didn't
crossed that
bother me.
sentence out.
So you're
Here we
gonna,
go.
okay.
And I do wonder, do the names need to be
Split. Yeah,
Yeah, spelled out.
About the emails or
See,
something.
you can only go up.
M. Shapley and Jenna, yeah. Yeah, Karen J, Nora,
Yeah, I see them all.
so.
Are you going over the list of people who attended that meeting? Is that the Zoom meeting that we were bombed on?
No,
Okay, because on that one, I'm listed as not present. I was present. And
That
then
was many meetings ago.
many meetings
Okay.
ago. It was fixed.
So I move to accept the meeting minutes with the amendments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish we could do this.
Opposed? I've seen the select board do it.
But
Yeah.
even when there's somebody remote, one of
Yes.
their voting, one of
Yeah.
the voting members,
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
I think you can get this on. It's paying.
Joan
Right.
Coco,
What? Yes,
Rosemarie.
Wake up, Joan.
I'm awake.
which
Rose-
meeting are we approving?
Last one.
Yeah.
The Jew meeting that I wasn't at.
You weren't at, okay.
Okay, Rosemarie, do you accept them?
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, Karen Janowski.
yes.
And John Parson.
Yes.
And Karen Panett.
Yes.
And Jean Prado.
Yes.
And Marilyn Shapley.
Yes.
And Nancy T.
Yes.
All right, unanimous, all in favor, to be made with correction.
Yes.
Okay. Select board, are we a little bit behind? Yes.
Yeah, except we already did the one.
Oh, that's true.
Mark is no longer,
Yeah, Mark had to leave. He wrote in the notes.
But our recalc liaisons here.
As far as recalc goes, we've been pretty much close to dead in the water ever since, the Walgreens didn't make it. And the select board gave us a new charge as to what we're supposed to do. And basically included a new feasibility study, or they're working on a new feasibility study. Checking on what we can offer programs for the senior center, which a lot of us think has been done over and over again. And the other thing is transportation. We were put into 3 working groups. We can't be called subgroups for some reason. We have to be working groups. And each group has 3 people in it, so that means everybody on recalc is in at least 2 groups. I'm on transportation and I'm on the one studying programs for the senior center. Transportation has been visiting a lot of people. I have gone a few places. And the other group, the one working on programs for the senior center, our lead is Michael Colvin, and Michael is going back to the select board to get more clarification on exactly what they want. Because we just look at what they gave us for information, and it just seems like it's been studied to death. And maybe they're looking for a little bit of a different slant. And that's basically about it.
there's also a finance funding group, right?
Yes.
Yes, there is. And I forget who the 3 are that are on that. But as I said, everybody's on at least 2 groups.
When are you meeting again?
Neither one of the leads on the groups I'm on have called a meeting.
Okay.
John O'Neill is the lead of transportation, so I'm sure he'll be doing one soon.
Okay.
There are a couple of towns, North Reading and Andover, that have done huge studies on transportation. I sat down with Jane Burns for quite a while and went over her study. And somebody else was going up to North Reading. And one of the first things Jane Burns said to me is, while you're talking to me, you should be talking to the woman down in North Reading, because she's the one that's done a bang-up job. So I'm hoping we're gonna get some very good information from that, whoever was going there.
Lillian
Lillian something, yeah.
Lillian Hartman is, she's been working hard in North Reading. She and I have been in constant communication over the past few months. We wrote one of the grants that we unfortunately did not get. But they're North Reading's kind of hurting for transportation. I don't think they can use the MBTA anymore. So they're in quite a boat, and she has been exploring a lot of options, and has continued to keep me informed with them. The hard part is we're just kind of in North Reading and Reading are in two just different places right now. You know, they're really looking for transportation and how to get people to medical appointments, and looking at scheduling, dispatch type thing, and they're looking at the whole gamut because they just don't have a whole lot. Fortunately for Reading, so everyone knows, transportation, you know, we have ATS for medical, so we can always get someone a medical ride. You know, we have the 2 vans, and if you include me in the list, you know, we have 4 drivers. We have Joe, who is our full-time transportation coordinator and full-time driver, plus two backup drivers, and then if all else fails, I can drive. You know, so we're in a completely different place than like North Reading or most other towns, and we cover all the transportation. Even Joe, I mentioned it to someone this morning, you know, even Joe, if someone calls in the morning, I think pretty much 100% of the time we've been able to get them a ride. You know, we always try to get 24 hours notice so we can help with the schedule. But I know Joe, over the past year since I've been here, there's been numerous times someone's called first thing in the morning, we get a message, that person is always on the bus. You know, the good thing for us is our one bus is almost out every day for grocery shopping, different stores and everything else. And, you know, the good thing is if we ever need to, we have that second bus and the other drivers that we can quickly put into operation. You know, so there's nothing that we're really missing with transportation right now. Even getting people to the center, we're getting people to the center. Unless people are not telling us, we're covering all the rides and transportation.
One of my things was, first things was to interview Chris, and basically he said, what he's saying to you is everything he said to me. We really don't have a problem. People perceive to be one, but there doesn't seem to be. And I have asked other people when I'm at the center, you know, people who are there participating, do you have a problem with rides? And the answer always, no, we don't have a problem.
There are people who got there.
Pardon me?
There are people who got there somehow. It's the ones that we don't know about.
Well, there could be people we don't know about, but, you know.
It's the other 5,500.
And how much time can you spend trying to find all of them?
I don't think
If they're not interested, they're not interested, at least
I don't
that's
think
how I
it's
feel.
up to us to find them. I just think, and we do it to make them aware they could call us. I don't know that everyone realizes they could. That's
I think it's good to continue to make sure the word is out there,
Yeah, exactly.
that the service is there.
Exactly.
But I don't see, I have a hard time believing that there's gonna be a huge ramp up, or that we're not gonna be able to.
May not be huge,
Cover,
but even
but-
if it's 15 people that are really hurting, it'd be nice to know they're there.
But the nice thing, even if it's 15 people, we have that other van that
Yeah. But
we can get into operation.
Right.
And we can start moving,
Right.
so.
But they just need to know that we exist, you know, maybe out of their realm of imagination, who knows?
Well, it sounds like Recalc is on the upswing, you've got your work groups, you're kind of getting things whipped into shape. Sounds like you feel there's a little redundancy, as if you watched our last meeting, we all voiced that at our last meeting. So let's hear what the SWEC liaison has to say.
So we met, let me see when we met. We met on July 24th, we're meeting again on Wednesday. And we had we reorganized again. because we have to by town statute. We had a presentation by the Reading Pickleball Players Association. They came and shared their concerns. One of the things that they said is that the Reading Ice Authority had reached out to them as a temporary solution because they recognized that there's a pickleball issue in this town. And so they offered up a parking lot that is in the back of Burbank Ice Arena that could be made 8 courts, but then it would require temporary parking or some sort of parking along the side of the building. And so they were hoping for a more permanent solution because they know that there's so many balls up in the air right now and no one decision is being made, but they were willing to agree that temporary but dedicated pickleball space would be acceptable. Then we had Jenna and Jim Sullivan, Recreation Administrator, speak to us, and they shared what some of the community's needs from a recreation standpoint in terms of how we're going to use that space at Simon's Way. And then we also started to draft a request for information because we want to do a public-private partnership, and we want to see if there's any interest in that with the acres, the 9 acres. Not all of them are buildable. So that draft was put out for us to review, and we made changes, and we will be discussing that on Wednesday and putting out an RFI to see if there will be if there is any way that we can do a public-private partnership.
Can you share that with the COA members?
The draft?
The draft?
It's got a lot of writing all over it. What I would say is it's probably on the town website to see if it.
Okay, you don't have to, you can get back to us.
So you'd like to take a look at that?
Yeah.
You could come to the meeting Wednesday night too, I know, or watch it. So we're submitting that and seeing, we haven't come up with a deadline. This is all going to be the discussion on Wednesday night. And that's what we did.
You know, I just have to say, I'll say it real quick, the one thing about the SWEC committee, I've kind of readjusted my thinking a little bit on that space. And it's an excellent space for pickleball courts or a bocce court or, and all those are for an older population, or they tend to be for an older population. So it's an interesting way to think about it, that's where we might get some recreational opportunities for the 60-plus community.
Nancy, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I'm a pickleball player, I'm 60-plus, and there are many of us who are 60. It's also intergenerational, which is really nice too. And so, but yeah. And I've been thinking the same thing is, that's one thing. An indoor center doesn't offer that. It's the outdoor space that does offer. And for those of us who are 60-plus, there's really not much. I mean, pickleball is a great activity. In fact, there's someone out there, Tom, who's 86 years old, who plays a lot in the middle of the day. He's 86 years old and he's out there playing. So, yeah. And he doesn't attend. I did talk with him. I don't think he attends. Well, no. Anyway. But yes, it's intergenerational, it's multi-generational. It's really an excellent.
Yeah. So that was like one of the pluses that I got out of that. So.
There was a time when there was talk about a new senior center there. Is that really dying?
Well, we need the feasibility study to see if in fact that is the best place for it. And I think that's one of the things we're going to be discussing tonight, is that feasibility study.
Does the flavor of the board seem like they are considering seniors much at all, or?
It's still, well, again, like pickleball is for the 60-plus as well. I mean, it's not off the table. It's definitely, if it's one of the places that's being considered, and if in fact the feasibility study identifies that it is the best place,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to pickleball, but if you put in a pickleball courts, that's the only thing that can be done is pickleball. Well, it's not like you can do,
Well,
many things then.
The RFI is going to look at a variety of things, so we'll see what that shows in terms of public-private partnership. And I think, when we talk about, there's a lot of balls being juggled in the air. I feel like the feasibility study, we need to really find what the outcome of that is. Because again, if it identifies that the Simon's Way is the best place, we have to, our charge is to make recommendations to the select board about, we're not even limited to one option. Our charge is to make recommendations. It's the select board that makes the final decision, and then it's the town voters. And I think that's the other thing too is, we have to get, whatever we do, it has to go through the town voters.
Well, thank you very much, Karen. Forward to hearing more. So, next is Elder Services Report and use of the ARPA funds report.
All right, as you can see, we have, two, I just did June and July separate. We had a really good, last fiscal year. I always go to July to June, I think, as you know. We had a fantastic year, overall. As you can see, July of, 2022, that July was 1,165 duplicated and 310 unduplicated, and then by June we're up to 3133 and 591. So we have had fantastic growth over the years. What's really pretty encouraging, other than we are staying for the past 3 months, including July here, we're staying over 3,000 for duplicated numbers, which means we're having over 3,000 interactions per month. So we are just reaching more people, and more people are engaged in our activities and programs. So that was it's fantastic to see that. So
The bingo was packed this morning.
We are finally getting to the point now where the programming's like bingo and lunch. We're getting to safe full capacity. Let me put it that way, safe full capacity, which is really good. I wasn't expecting this much growth this quickly, but I'm really excited for it. It's been a challenge. It's a challenge for the staff because we have to keep up with it. But I do think, with seeing everything, I do think we will continue on this. My hope is to stay above 3,000 for duplicated people interactions per month. And my hope is to stay, as close to 600 or more, unduplicated per month for this coming year. So we really have, if you exclude last July because we were still getting things started from the pandemic, it turns out we had our biggest year if you take that July out. So going back to 2012. So at least interaction wise, which is fantastic. So we are just reaching, we're doing more, and kudos to the staff. This is not me. This is, a team effort. The staff has been working hard. And I appreciate everything the staff has done. So they really have been working hard to get things in, get things going, and trying to reach as many seniors as we can without, within reason to us as a staff. So.
The bottom number in June, we're up to almost 2,000 of the 60 plusers that we now have engaged in something at some point over the year. That's really exciting.
Well, it's probably a little closer to 2000. There's been some programs where we bring people in, and we just don't have their information. So I know that number is above 2000. But I can only report what I have in the system, and that's 1925.
And that's fabulous,
And-
that's exciting.
And that is, you know, that is getting close to, I think, you know, senior population in Reading, I just checked today, if you go to census.gov, I think it's just under 5,000 seniors, but that's 65 plus.
Yeah, they keep telling us it's 60,
It's, yeah,
77,000.
so it depends upon if you look at 60 or 65. Either way, it gets a little tricky because a lot of 60s to 65s are working, so we're not gonna, but we're quickly approaching being able to reach half of the older adult population in this town, which I think is a very good goal to have. We'll never be able to reach 100, but if we can be somewhere around half of that, I think that is a fantastic goal and place to be. So
Kudos to Chris and the staff.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring this up. I was at the library on Friday and somebody at the desk asked, oh, and it was the pleasantries. She said, can I take that? Turns out it was the last one. And they said they always run out of them at the library.
So we're running, there's a lot of, just so everyone knows, there's a kind of a lot of unknown territory. You know, of just trying to keep up with everything. With this quick of growth, it's just not what we've been doing, like, it's not what the staff has been doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just on top of everything else, on top of making sure programming is still getting in, running the program, you know, everything that we have to do, I do have to say, like, it has been a challenge trying to stay up on top of, this is not the first time, I have never run out of newsletters in my previous places. And now we are constantly running out of newsletters every month. And looking at, okay, we need to increase. And more interest is just out there. People are coming, which is exciting. It's really good.
So how can we make sure that how many do you usually drop off in?
I'm not sure, but we can increase it. I need to have the printer increase the number that we print.
Because they told me, and this was August 11th, that was the last one. And they said they run out of them every month.
Yeah.
That's what somebody at the desk said.
I think I can probably cut back in a couple other places that we give them and probably give more. But I'm also gonna ask the printer, I don't think it costs us anything to ask the printer to print off another at least 100 or so.
It used to be the printing was free, I was told.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
so it doesn't cost anything.
No,
Okay,
it's free. I also,
because of the ads.
I'm also trying hard not to, what I also don't wanna do is before we were throwing away a lot, or I should say recycling.
Yeah.
So I'm being very conscious of trying to not waste. And the first time it happened when I ran out of newsletters, I was like, this is good, but I gotta make sure it's continuously before I commit to increasing to 100. But I do think we're there now, especially now that I hear that. Because I don't always hear, and then once I do, it gives me the information I need to be like, okay, we're not gonna be throwing away.
I thought it was serendipitous that I happened to be there at that moment when the person asked for the last one.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, July was really good. We continued over that, you know, if I can always hit the 3,000, and if we can get somewhere above 500, duplicated, unduplicated, it's a great place for the center to be. It's manageable for what we have. You know, and sometimes we'll go above that, depending on activities and programs that we have. But this is a very good manageable, especially for us as a staff. So, again, kudos to the staff. As you can see, there's a lot of highlights. We've been doing a lot of programs, and everything.
Can I ask you to put in the 2022 statistics, it really should be 2022/2023, right?
You're correct, yeah.
In the header.
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
top, yeah. I usually just put the month,
I
but
know, but
um,
then I got,
yeah, what I can do is I can put in parentheses, now it'll be 2023, 2024,
yeah,
It's FY 20.
or FY 24, yeah.
it's confusing to a lot of people.
Good job.
Yeah, really, really good. Anything else you wanna, or shall we move on to ARPA funds?
Excuse me, hello?
Yeah,
I shop at Market Basket. One doorway at Market Basket has in an area that the pleasant trees are put. They're gone very quickly there. So that's another place that would need a larger supply, and I'm sure they'll be taken by the people.
Great, that's good to know. Like I said, it's always hard, we don't know until someone tells us.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you letting us know. Thank you, Rosemary.
Christopher's also has a restaurant. Christopher's, the restaurant, also generally has a supply of pleasant trees, but I think they run out too. Sometimes I've been there and there's a few left, and other times there's nothing there.
Definitely take a look at increasing how many we hand out.
okay.
Rosemary, you had 2 items in your emails. I don't know if you want them here or where you want to bring them up. One is,
You mean the various questions?
yes. You've got one about purchasing, and I don't know if this goes under truck, I don't know who you were imagining would pay this for, so I'm not sure where it went, but it's Pleasant Street Center related. You were looking to get subscriptions to newspapers available, and you were looking to get AED Medtronic life
We only have one. We have one of those.
Let's
It wouldn't
put
have
that
been better
under
table to another time.
So
I don't know, I promised I would raise
I like Rosemary's questions. I'm just wondering, would it be okay if, I'm happy to answer all these or get answers to these. And I'm happy to get them in, write them, because tonight, I know we're already behind time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ignore Rosemary's questions. I think they're valuable. But it'd be nice, I know Jen and myself, we're always happy to meet one-on-one. But I can also, write these answers down for everybody for the next meeting. Is that okay, Rosemary?
Definitely, as long as it's addressed, yes.
Yeah.
Great.
I just want to make sure you know that we're not ignoring them, because they are valuable.
Do my questions fall under COA, or should they go to a different?
Some don't. I wrote to you about that, Rosemary. Like the hospital fund belongs to the Commissioner of Trusts, I believe. The McDonald's one, I haven't got a clue. I don't think it's
No,
us.
it's not us.
It's not the town. So I wrote back to you, Rosemary. There were a couple I suggested you direct them to other places.
I will check my incoming messages.
Okay, and I just put it on the agenda simply because I had a direct request to put it on the agenda, so being responsive, but I think this is a great way to handle it. It's fine with Rosemary. Great.
Good.
Okay, Nathan.
All right, so now let's go on to the ARPA funds report.
All right, hello, everyone.
Hi, Jenna.
So in the last meeting, I'm not sure if you recall, but in the June meeting, Chris had asked that we put the trust funds on hold for the expenditures. So that's the reason why I didn't do the full report for each and every trust fund, but you will see the comprehensive report that Diane Morabito puts together for you. That's something that you requested a few months back with the interest and all that good stuff. So if anyone has any direct questions on that, I can answer that. And then in regards to the actual ARPA funds, all of the money obviously is not going through the trust, so it is getting expended through the ARPA funds. So all of our programming, all of our trips, a lot of our lunches, hopefully the future feasibility study that will be going out soon that you guys will be discussing, that will be coming out of the ARPA funds. and the staff that also is not reflected on this report. It's a separate report in finance. So yeah, any other questions that you guys have in regard to any of the specific expenditures on there?
My questions for this printout regarding the monies on the ARPA funds, again, it's starting at 800,000, we were allotted 900,000. 300,000 was for different, something other than spending on the elderly programs. We should have two separate breakdowns of the money spent. It shouldn't be mixed and mingled. What happens when they go over 300,000? Are they going into the 600,000 that was for elderly programs?
Nope. So internally, the staff is tracking each of the categories. So each category that was designated by the select board has a specific amount allotted to that category. So internally, the staff is tracking that. The town manager specifically and the select board are managing that feasibility piece. So if there comes a point where they do notice that they're going to exceed that particular amount, I assume that they would have to go to select board and ask specifically for funds allotted to another area. Let's say it's supplemental programming space or something like that to move into the feasibility study. But that's something that's out of our purview as staff, the feasibility study specifically. But I do agree with you that it would be easier to itemize each of the categories out and have them on the report. But finance inputs the ARPA funds in a certain way, and I'm not sure if they could restructure it in a way that's a little bit more readable, but it comes from a program called Munis. So I'm not sure what the capability is of the system to do anything with the report. So like I told you the other day, I'm gonna reach out to Sharon Engstrom in finance and see if there's a way that we could make it a little bit easier.
Thank you.
So
What
is
about the
there,
beginning,
so
what about-
is there, oh, okay, go ahead, Rosemary.
what about the beginning balance, 800,000, it should be 900,000.
Sure. So I think that was brought up in a prior meeting. So the $100,000 that's missing from this report actually goes to the salaries of employees. So the part-time program coordinator, the volunteer coordinator, all of those are being supplemented by the salary line item that we were allotted. And I think that was $100,000. And that $100,000 is separate from the programming and feasibility report. So that shows up in the general fund.
Should salaries be part of the regular town budget and not of this money that we were awarded?
So the ARPA fund, we were allotted the whole 900,000. The report you're seeing right now in front of you is just for the senior programs and the feasibility study. The other $100,000 is, you'll find that $100,000 specifically itemized out in the general fund. And that is allotted to staff salaries. So it's a little complicated, but I could definitely show you if you come down where it is on a report, or try to print out a report that shows how these specific things are expended through the salary and the general fund.
Okay, so that $100,000, we started with 900,000 and 300,000 was not for elder services. So is that $100,000 being deducted from 300,000 and not the 600,000 that is to be spent on people who attend the center today?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
The breakdown of the monies was, we received 900,000. 300,000 was to be used not for programs, but 600,000 was to be used for our programs, our meals, our trips. So out of the 300,000, is that 100,000 that doesn't start the top of this program being deducted from the $300,000 usage, or is it being deducted from the 600,000 that is assigned to be used for people who attend the center today?
Sure. So there's different items that, again, the select board designated. So I understand what you're saying. So aside from the feasibility study and the salaries, the remaining amount of the ARPA funds is going directly towards programming, supplemental programming space, the bus trips, the wellness programs. I think there might be one other that I'm missing, but you're correct.
So the starting balance for all those programs is 600,000. The payroll is not coming out of that. Payroll, I would think, would be part of the town budget.
No, so the $900,000 in ARPA that we were allotted, $100,000 is allotted towards supplementing the staff's salaries. So
Fine,
before,
but is it coming out of the 300,000, not the 600,000 for the people?
You know what, maybe a couple of us can come down and talk to you directly. This is very confusing and it's hard to do on a Zoom. I would be happy to come down, Rosemarie might be happy, I don't know if there's anybody else. And maybe we can kind of explain this, because it's very, very confusing.
Well, it's simple to me. We got $900,000. $100,000 is not showing up in this report. So you're taking $100,000. Where is it coming from? The 600,000 that's assigned for elderly use for people who attend the center towards the trips, the food and everything else?
Yeah, we don't know, Rosemarie. That's why I'm suggesting we go down and talk to Jenna directly.
Yeah.
And look at the reports with her.
yeah, so all of the money, all the ARPA funding, aside from that $100,000, is going towards all of the other categories that were itemized out by the select board. So anyone can go and look at these items, and I also have a spreadsheet that tells you exactly how much money is allotted to each of these categories. And
Yeah.
we as staff cannot deviate from that unless otherwise told by the select board. And you
So
can
am I the only
stop
one
us and I
that
can explain it
finds
to you better.
Yes.
So you're mentioning categories, so you're telling me just so much has been assigned to a category for meals, and so much has been assigned to a category for trips? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. So in the ARPA presentation, it outlines, I believe it's like 75,000 for the wellness programs, $150,000 for the bus trips, and the others I can't really remember off the top of my head, but that's easily something that I could get to everyone tomorrow. It's right on my computer.
There's subcategories of the 600,000.
Correct.
So the 600,000, all
Well, for the
that
eight-
600,000 is broken down into categories that were approved when we got the ARPA funds.
One question, did we hire a volunteer coordinator, because that was coming out of that money?
We did
Go
not
ahead.
yet.
Is it posted yet?
It isn't, since we lost our DEI person recently. We were in the middle of, which is the director of equity and social justice. So we lost that person, and then we were kind of simultaneously trying to fill this position. So there's been a lot of open positions that we're kind of taking priority over this one, but Sean said that within the next month it'll be posted.
And is it a full-time position?
It's
Oh, it's half.
Any reason why?
It's part-time
half-time
for
over
this
2
year and next
years.
year. Yep.
Who is our director of social justice? Who left?
It was Sudeshna
She's gone.
Charcuterie.
Well, she was just a short-term employee. And she didn't stay very long.
All right, so for those of you that understand this report, good. For those of you that don't, several of us are gonna go down and talk to Jenna to get some other questions answered.
But I heard Jenna say that she will send us that ARPA
Yes.
information tomorrow.
Yes,
And I think
absolutely.
I think that will be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I don't remember seeing how the select board approved and delineated the different categories. You may have sent it to us, I don't recall.
So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
this
if that
was a
either.
while back when the money was awarded,
Yeah,
like
so, yeah,
August, last August, a year ago.
okay, that'll be helpful to review that. Thanks,
Yes.
Jenna.
Yes.
Sure.
Good. Okay, requests for funding. Elder services.
For, this would be for September, because we already approved June, July, and August.
Yeah.
I think right now I only know of 2 activities, because we've been focused on August lately. So birthday lunch and moving a pizza. So
I'm not the person anymore.
I'm just looking at everybody. So right now, just to make sure we're covered for September, I'm just gonna request $800, up to $800, for what we need for the month of September.
Chris, we do have a special person coming in at the end of September that's gonna do a program. And I think that's about 300. I don't know if that's included.
I don't remember what that program is, and I can't remember.
She's going to be teaching the fiber arts, a specialty quilting. She's a
All right,
local merchant coming in.
okay, I don't know if I think we were still setting that up, but I didn't know the final
It's been
figure.
confirmed.
Okay, it
I know
has been confirmed.
So that's
Did you
about.
say 300?
I would stick with 300 at least.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll just move it to up to 1,100 for the month to make sure we have that covered, and we should be set.
Make a motion? Anybody?
I move to,
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
a motion
A motion.
Up to 1,100.
for Burbank, I assume.
Second,
Okay, so
any discussion?
any discussion?
No, we've had enough.
No, no discussion. Joan Coco,
Yes.
bad chair. Joan Coco?
Yes.
Rosemarie?
Yes?
Karen?
Yes.
John Parsons?
Yes.
Karen Panett?
Yes.
Jean Prado?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Nancy T?
Yes.
All righty. Unanimous acceptance of funding out of Burbank, $1,100 for September events at the Pleasant Street Center.
Excellent.
Okay, now we have some Town Street Fair Day expenses that we want to talk about. Who's gonna,
Well,
say you?
it's on the Jarrow.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jarrow.
yeah.
Okay. Couple of things. I did make copies of the quotes and neglected, I didn't get it out on time. Thank you. I did bring samples. This started out with the jar openers that we thought would be a great giveaway as a marketing tool to all those who come to the Council on Aging table during the street fair. There are a lot of people in town that do not really know there is a Council on Aging that is an advocate for the seniors within our town. So this is a sample from many moons ago when I was in finance and marketing, which I believe it or not, I still have today, and I have several. This is the large size jar opener. If you were to use it, you go, you turn, etc. I personally prefer the large. The small ones, I think, are too tiny, depending, and then if a gentleman goes to open it, their hand is larger. Unbeknownst to me, I did not know the town already had an account with Fort Brent, and I happened to call them. And I've been back and forth with a sales rep. So they sent me samples. going with the larger size twofold for the convenience of opening a jar, but also for the convenience and the visibility of putting our text on this. We're marketing the COA. There's two different types. There's a regular jar opener, and then there's a cushion jar opener, which I think gives you a better grip. So that's one, that's that one. This is the regular one. That's a regular one. If you look, I'm working with their marketing and artwork department, and I came up with a couple of designs. One of them is the did I get it?
I can't see it, so it's fine.
Is the Council on Aging. And it says serving the senior community, Reading, Mass. I felt we should put Reading, Mass on it because there could be any Council on Aging. We don't know if these will end up in someone's cottage up in New Hampshire. That is one. I have my preference, but everyone has their own preference. This is one setup with one type of text. And then you go to the second page and there's another type of text. I personally think the first one gives more of a bounce to it. The other thought, I was wondering if you wanted to, it can always be changed, put the Council on Aging serving the 60-plus senior community. Because we use 60-plus a lot. That does not make a difference, I just would have to notify the art department. I do have to notify them tomorrow morning, or sometime tomorrow, because it's about a 10-day, 2-week turnaround. And Jenna and I have spoken, they have a purchase order, Jenna, I believe, already, once the final decision is made, the PO goes in. Okay. Okay. So we need to decide if we want the cushion or the regular. Oh, I'm sorry. That's where jar opener.
Did you think of the possibility
Did I
of
have that?
we're saying serving the Reading senior community and then using this for more promo?
And actually, I think last time we decided we didn't wanna say senior, cause
Yeah,
we're gonna advise that senior puts people off, we were just gonna say 60+.
okay. But then I thought we didn't like the 60-plus.
I did.
That's what,
I think
the Friends of Reading uses,
Okay,
60+.
so we would take out the word senior,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay?
What about if we just say elder community?
How about serving the 60-plus community,
That's good.
Yeah,
okay?
No credence to my thought.
serving the Reading 60.
Oh, I guess,
Because I think we should put Reading, Mass. There is Reading,
I do
Pennsylvania,
too.
there's Reading, Mass. I just feel, and you don't have to have it in red. I just put the red because to me, Reading has always been the red and the black.
Right, yeah.
But you can do a multicolor assortment, which would be red, black, red, blue, green. But I think, for me, I think this artwork shows up.
Agreed.
So you have to decide what color or an assortment of colors. We've decided on the text. Now you have to let me know if you want cushion. I like cushion.
I actually prefer the non-cushion.
Oh, you
It
do?
feels more normal to me, but
I wouldn't think anybody around here would confuse it with Reading, Pennsylvania.
you never know. I used to have
But
staff who was
but it
Reading,
also
Pennsylvania.
gives them a reference point, so they could go to Reading, Mass.
Well,
Actually, you
kind
can
of what
put
my
the
point is,
Reading
is
Mass.gov.
it would free up the bottom if you wanted to do more.
Yeah, actually, if you wanted to put www.readingmass.gov,
No, actually, what you could put is, and we haven't gotten to it yet, our new Council on Aging at ci.reading.mass.us, our mailbox.
Okay, and you have to understand one thing, we only have so much room
Yeah,
on this, and you don't want it to be so jumbled
yeah.
that they don't see.
I think it's fine the way it is personally.
Yeah,
Serving, I like serving the 60-plus community,
Okay,
Reading, Mass. I like the softer.
I could live with the South, it just feels
It's not,
very.
no, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but
What is the difference in cost between the two
Yeah.
types?
okay, the difference in cost is,
it's too bad you cannot feel the difference. Rosemary,
Rosemary's hand is
Karen, and Joan.
Can you bring it up close to the camera so we can see the print you're talking about?
Let me,
Oh, yes.
there's that one,
Oh,
there's 2 pages.
Thank you for doing all this, Jean.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, this brought back a lot of, this is what I used to do at one
Can
time.
everybody see that? Council on Aging,
Looks good.
serving the senior community. I put serving the, I don't like the word senior either.
Yeah,
We're changing it.
we're changing it out.
we took senior out.
It looks good.
Okay,
It looks good. Thank you.
All right, so we're agreed we want the large one,
we
right?
want the
Yeah.
large one.
And we've only got 5 more minutes to discuss this.
Okay,
Cushion or non-cushion, I don't care.
I don't
Okay,
care.
What's the
let me
price
tell you the
difference?
price, let me tell you the price with the cushion. The jumbo cushion jar circle comes to, with for 300, it comes to $294, and then $45 for setup, $9.50 for shipping, comes to $348.49.
Okay.
And I think at the last meeting, we said we were playing with 500.
550 actually,
Yeah.
so you're
So-
already approved.
So we could, if we wanted to increase it, we could, if not, leave it.
How
I
many
think
did
we should increase it. I think 300 will disappear in a heartbeat.
That's what I
The
thought.
little kids will take it.
And if we have anything left over, aren't we not doing something in September that we could have a little giveaway?
Yeah, I mean, there's always gonna be,
There'll be more things.
there's always an event, even if it's next year, I mean. Yeah,
I think we should increase it.
Yes, increase the quantity.
Whatever 500 will get us.
What's 5?
Yeah.
Someone wanna make a motion?
So even if we did it to 400, if they said we could do it in a second and 400.
I make a motion that we need, are we doing cushioned or not?
I think, well,
Yeah.
Cushioned?
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to buy as many as we can for $550 that's already approved.
So if we already approved it, do we need to make another motion?
We're only moving to pick the design, so Jean feels that she understands. We're all in on it, I think. But
Yeah,
the
I
money's,
just
the money's
want-
approved.
I
But we
just
want
feel
the
we
large
need-
one, we want it cushioned. We're going to take the senior off and put 60 plus on in the text. And we're fine with the red with the black, not multicolored.
Okay.
Anything else you need to know?
Well,
I move that we pick that design.
Okay, and I'll just state this. Jenna, do I call you
No,
tomorrow?
no, 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 wait a minute, wait a minute, we have a motion.
I second the motion.
All right,
Okay,
vote. I know, lots of pain in the neck. I'm not listening.
Joan Coco,
Yes,
in favor. Rosemary,
Yes,
Karen, Janowski.
Yes.
John Parsons.
Yes.
Karen Panett,
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Nancy T.
Yes.
All right,
Yay.
unanimous.
A quick thing, Jenna, tomorrow, do I call you and we get the PO? How do we go about this now?
Can you guys talk about this tomorrow because we're
Yep.
running
You're right, Jean.
time.
Okay, got it.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you very much. So now we've done the, trust funds financial report, we don't have any.
Can I throw just take me 10
You want
seconds? Just a tickler for, and we'll move next to Ivana, but a tickler. There is an annual Massachusetts Council on Aging conference. And it used to be that the town sent council on aging people. They stopped that. Kevin stopped that a couple of years ago. And it goes to staff, which is also a good use of it. But anyway, council on aging people ought to be able to go. So next month I will propose that we fund as many people as have interest in attending. I will send out the link to what it is. You can pick one day, every day, one meeting, and prices are graded. So I will send out the information, and next month we can find out who would like to use it and vote. I would propose.
It's always out in the Northampton area, is it not?
No, it's in
this one's in
Danvers this year,
Danvers.
it's back in
They
Danvers
alternate
this year.
every year.
What's the date?
It's going
Where
to
is it this
be
Up in
October
Danvers.
October
At the
11th, 12th.
Hotel.
Yeah, with the convention always.
October 11th.
October 11th through 13th at the Doubletree by Hilton in Danvers, Mass.
A quick
Yes.
question, what are the topics or?
They're not listed yet. I'm sending the website and you can find out about it.
Yeah, Nancy.
But it's usually really good stuff. It's a really good thing to go to. So that's
Thank
that's
you,
a tip.
that's a great thing. I think as many as we can
As many as
should
can
go.
fit it in and would like to go.
Yeah, that's good.
Why can't we use the van? Why can't we use the van and go?
That's another whole thing. It's 3 days, Rosemary. People might be able to go to some parts and not other parts. And we can worry about the logistics when we know who
Later.
wants to
Yeah,
go.
that's new business.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the review of the request for quote draft that the town manager has so
Request for qualifications.
of qualifications. That the town manager has provided the Council on Aging with an opportunity to review it prior to it going public. Marilyn and I met with Fidel once and we actually suggested a number of changes. So what you're looking at in here are a few changes. Did everybody have an opportunity to read the RFQ
Drafts.
draft?
Yeah.
Don't be sending this to anybody like we're recruiting yet. It's
So,
the draft.
I'm thinking to move the conversation along, if maybe we can go around one by one for those of you that have comments that not necessarily that you like, but things that you think that are missing or misstated is what we want to hear. So,
Can I make a recommendation based on what we did at SWAC?
yeah,
We were given the draft and we knew it was going to be a lengthy discussion. So we said we will review it in the meantime and then the next meeting we would discuss it.
we have to discuss it now. It's going public.
My understanding is that Fidel, he told us, send more comments, whatever. So he's still collecting if you've got something you want to share with him. But what I understood him to say was he will be sending the draft as he would like to post it to the select board at their next meeting, which I think is next week.
Next Tuesday night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's not a lot of time.
I had a couple of questions.
Okay.
So, we're under the recalc section. It was basically talking about recalc's charge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I put in a Google Doc, so yeah,
It's page
and to edit. And then it spoke to, extending the charge. So the question I had was, it said, there was a bullet that says perform, so recalc's charge was to perform feasibility study on potential senior center and or community center. Right, so my concern is that that's redundant with what we are asking the designer to do. So I wonder if that needs to be removed, because if you scroll down a little bit more, it says then that recalc's charge is to inform the feasibility study. So using information obtained and developed through review of best practices, et cetera, to inform the firm being hired to perform the feasibility study. So it's one or the other, right? Is recalc conducting it or are they informing it?
We asked that question.
Yeah.
I can show you after.
It's a good question, and that was a topic of discussion because of the redundancy. and things have already been done. And one of the things that Marilyn and I tried to stress was we've got a lot of information given to the consultant and let the consultant generate the report. And do the feasibility study, as opposed to organizing focus groups and putting together surveys and, yeah.
Same as they already did.
Yeah.
My recollection of what, it's too bad I couldn't stay for this part, but my recollection of what Fidel had said was that it is purposely trying to keep it flexible.
But
That's redundant and
I'm not
redundant.
arguing with you, preaching to the choir,
Right.
but he didn't want to make changes there.
And I have to say that if Mark was here, our liaison would, agree to keeping this in. But, I mean,
Is this an additional cost?
so can you,
I've got it here in Google Doc all highlighted and fancy, I can share it with you, we can talk about it, I've got it all. I have a couple more pointers also.
okay, wait a minute, she has a couple more.
Yeah.
So the next question I had is under scope of services for phase 2 and phase 3. I'm so sorry, it's in a Google Doc, so you're gonna scroll down under phase 2
Page 7.
feasibility study. Okay, scope of services. So it says here, the owner will require interactive working group sessions to explore site strategy options, design concepts, evaluation criteria, program, et cetera. Who are these working groups? That's not defined, I don't understand who are these, I don't understand who they are.
We didn't either, and it was asked. One of the things that Fidel did though, is he would say during our meeting, who do you want the working group to be? So, and we try to answer him.
I think his point was that it's so TBD and there's a lot of, he's keeping his option. It's like lawyers, they write documents, you can always go this way or that way. It's kind of leaving the door open on lots of things was my takeaway.
Right, but, and my counter to that was the consultant will do whatever's written in here.
I know. I agree.
So if you are not giving the consultant firm guidance as to what to do,
Yeah.
then they're just gonna go ahead and say, okay, 3 focus groups, and we're gonna do a survey, and then we'll match those to what Recalc's already done. This is going back to what Karen said though, I don't know how we can do this tonight.
Okay.
Should they be a special meeting?
I wonder if we need a special meeting.
You could call it.
Yeah. What do you?
Sure, yeah, and I've got a couple more things, so yeah, we can call a special
Yeah.
meeting.
And I really think the meeting needs to be in person.
Yeah.
Sorry, my Zoomers, because this is there's a lot of discussion, give and take, back and forth here. So if you truly want to participate, I think you've got to come to this special meeting.
Do you think we should get Fidel there? Because we'll get answers, yes, I'm saying yes. We should see if they can do another meeting with this.
I mean, we would have to do it within the next 10 days.
Yeah.
Well, sooner, because the select board meeting is next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's right. You're right.
That's what he told us.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is we really need to get it to them. So, by Thursday. So, I mean, I think we've got some general concerns. I mean, the big concern is the redundancy.
Yeah.
And the repetition of work that's already been done. Does this document reflect all of the work that has already been done? And I have to wonder what Recalc is saying about this as well. I mean, they must have feedback.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do we wordsmith or do we just share some general concerns?
I think share general concerns because
I don't think we have time to meet again.
We don't, and the wordsmithing, you can end up getting your wordsmithing rejected when the idea itself might have been okay, you know what I mean?
Because Recalc is gonna have input, the
Yeah.
select board is going to have input,
Yes.
so.
You know, we kind of did that when, I can't remember what it was, when Recalc was first put into effect. And we sent a letter to the town, the select board, with all of our concerns. So I think what you're suggesting, Karen and Marilyn, is the way to do it. So give me guidance here. Do we want to take a look at what else we have on here? We have volunteers needed for the street fair. I would say for that, just send me when you can do it, if and when you can do it. I think we should table the next COA steps, renew senior center. I think we should table that till,
But not the adoption, which we skipped it, of the email address.
well, I skipped that one on purpose.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Take 2 seconds.
Okay, 2 seconds, she says. Do it in 1 minute. So we're kind of jumping around on the agenda so we can go back to the RFQ
Okay.
and come up with some high points of what we think.
Okay, this is simple, on the email address, I am working with, and I can't remember her name right now, but the PR person, the town.
Jane Wellman.
Yes, thank you, and we were about to have her push the button to send out a press release on our video. And we got stuck a little bit on, well, what's the action, who do we want people to reach and where, which brought up the issue, the council has no council identity email that's independent of who's sitting in the position. And Fidel said we could have the one that you see on here, and what the town will do is they will send all emails that go there to one person that we designate, and he suggested that I bring it to the Council on Aging and say, who would we like the one person to be that gets all the emails sent to them?
Probably the chair.
The chair.
And you're a computer person.
Are you all right with that?
Yeah.
All right.
That's amazing.
Next time we need a a corresponding secretary. Anybody?
All right, so I
Yeah,
will
go ahead.
tell them we're fine with doing it and having everything go to Nancy. And I will go ahead then and get that press release released with this as the contact thing. And I think it also has the select board link, and it's got the select at the town meeting people link on it as well. And it's just general, we're starting a campaign, you saw it a couple of meetings ago, we're starting a campaign, here's the link to the video. And actually, I think it's good timing, because with the RFQ coming together, it might actually connect in people's mind more than a little summer, who was gonna know, and so.
Do we need to vote on this?
I don't
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And the volunteers, can I just say, I feel really badly, but I've already got another event scheduled in New Hampshire. It's 5 hours. Do we have,
Oh, for what?
for the Reading Street Fair?
Just send me what you can
I
do.
can't do anything.
Okay.
That's all right.
So
It's all
just so that I don't forget, just send me an email, said I can't do anything. Or here, I'll put it in my.
And if everybody gives you the same time, then you've got a problem.
Don't worry, I'll figure it. This is not a biggie.
Oh, okay, good.
Um,
You're a good one.
And we're gonna be able to hand out the jar openers.
Yeah.
Our first
The cushion one.
Okay, so let's go back to
Okay.
the RFQ discussion. And we're way past our bedtime on here, so let's.
Not 2
bad,
hours.
Yeah,
We're
so
doing all right.
let's see if we can, I don't know, wrap it up in 20 minutes or so.
Well, I think what Nancy talked about, the confusion,
Yeah,
so clarify the confusion,
yeah.
the difference.
In regards to what Recalc's gonna be doing versus what the designer's gonna be doing, so we're not bottlenecking efforts
Exactly.
and creating duplicate work.
And on your copy, you have those, okay, good.
I had one more thing, so just real quick question, I don't know if this is important, but under evaluation criteria, number 9.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand, it said the selection committee may include the following individuals. So basically, at the discretion of the owner, so my understanding is the owner is the town.
Right.
Is the owner the select board?
The town.
What does that mean? So who appoints the evaluation board?
It's probably Fidel.
It's,
Well, I would say select board.
maybe this, let's ask that question.
Okay, so that's on here too.
It said it's the town is the owner.
Yeah, I think it just says the town. Does it make a difference?
Well, I'm just curious, I just wanna know how it's gonna be made up, that's all. Who's gonna appoint who as part of the selection process?
We asked a lot of those questions, it used to not say anything there, and he started itemizing, but there are a lot of those kinds of things in here, like, who?
Those are my big things, other
Okay,
than that, that's it.
all right. What about you, Tam?
Well, just what, just,
Giving it time.
no, I was just more about the, our big issues are the redundancy, the repetition, let's acknowledge what's, maybe we need to delineate what has already been done that should be made available to them. Because there's a lot that's already been done.
We tried to do that in, I'm trying to think where that is.
Yeah, you worked really hard on that.
Yeah.
You didn't get very much on that.
There is, here it is. Under project phasing description, page 6, phase 1 facilities program study. And what I got him to add in here were all those bullet items. And if you go down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet, it says as needed, information gathering of, and this is where the redundancy comes in. But it does list the UMass study, it lists the architects, it lists the recalc, it lists information from Elder and Human Services. And then it does say discussion with current center users, which I kind of thought that was reasonable. Although there's no definition of stakeholders. See in that first bullet, it says discussion with current senior center users, comma, all stakeholders. So does this kind of,
I just assumed it was like just kind of a summary of the staff, the council on aging, like just in case they missed anybody. But to your point, yeah, what could that mean?
who are the stakeholders?
I think
And we actually saw it, like what?
an undertone that's in this that we keep rallying against only because it's not what Recalc was recommending, and personally, I don't see the need has been demonstrated with the same level of sincerity that like senior stuff, no, sincerity is not the word, but rigor that the senior center stuff has yet, but there's sort of an underlying still community center floating around through this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Fidel, while we're there, even said, I could see, wouldn't it be nice to have like an indoor track? And I'm like, this isn't what it's about what it's nice to have, it's about what the seniors need. And I haven't heard any seniors say I need an indoor track, maybe someone has, but it's an undertone. And I think when we leave stakeholders undefined, it leaves us open, sorry Jenna, but to open it up to all of rec and what might anyone who's got a rec need see this as an opportunity to raise, open the door on. So it's a slippery slope potentially.
My concern is why do they feel
Wait
this?
a minute, Karen.
No,
Karen-
that's fine.
Okay.
Why do they feel this is necessary when all this work that has been done?
Redundancy, okay, we can't answer that question.
Well, but this is going to make the actual recommendation for, look at all the things that they are considering. This is going to make the recommendation for what we should do.
And it's experts that are coming in
And
as
it's
opposed to a group of volunteers.
$250,000 worth of work.
These are the
How
people
much is,
who really
how much
know.
is that study gonna cost?
Up to 250.
250.
This comes out of the 300,000,
250,000.
up to.
But
this-
if I can ask people though, we can talk about the cost, but let's talk about the content of the RFQ, right?
Right.
Okay,
Does anybody know what the Massachusetts stretch code is?
what page are you on?
Page 5, the last bullet, the last two bullets in the top section refer to the Massachusetts stretch code. I'm just curious what the heck that is, if anybody knows.
Laura Gemme has sent out something about it. I know I saw an email. I didn't pursue it.
You know, the high performance building guidelines, that sounds fairly, understandable. It is a mobility, system, but the Massachusetts stretch code, and then, in the next line, it says, as above with the above stretch code. I'm just, nobody knows. You're right.
Stretch code,
Oh.
stretch code is energy efficiency.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What was that, Joe?
No, it's
Karen.
Karen.
Oh,
All right, so Jean, any more big concerns that have come out for you, other than the redundancy and what we talked about?
Timeframe.
That's in here. That's in
Yeah,
here.
I know,
Indeed.
But what about-
That bothers me,
it's too long,
right?
I would agree. Anybody else agree?
The 4 to 6 months for everything,
Yeah. So it's gonna be about 8 months for this to be finished. I tried to reduce
We're losing another year.
yeah, we're losing another year. So I tried to reduce the times from the first one for the programming to be no more than 1 to 2 months. And then the other two to be 2 to 4 months. And he told me that was unreasonable. But
I raised my
I mean,
concern.
we can, not yet.
All right, sorry. Okay.
But let's add that, the time frame. That is,
Oh, sure.
it's a lot of work, but if we can get rid of the redundancy, maybe we can tighten up the time frame.
Timeframe.
All right, John,
I don't have anything else.
okay. Chris probably doesn't want to, do you want to?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, now Marilyn.
Something that I questioned Fidel a lot on and I'm unsettled about is the first time I read it, I was thinking, well, really the scoring comes down to the things in the tables. And actually, that's just a little piece of it. All of this stuff starting on page 8. The owner will consider the following minimum criteria in evaluating proposals. I didn't understand what that meant. We consider the what does this mean? And I said, do you mean these things are all required? And he said, oh no, we don't want to do that. So these are all things that they're sort of encouraged to speak to, and we may or may not consider it when we do the evaluation. It's leaving a lot of flexibility, which I understand. He doesn't want, he said, what you don't want to do is to have such concrete stuff that someone can come who's completely unqualified but say, look, I gave you that and they didn't, and you're stuck. And I understand that. But these things, I was sort of lulled on the first pass into thinking, this is great. And I added A and I added B, no, I added C. I added A and I added, no.
You added C.
I added C. Okay, but there was another one I added too, somewhere in there. Oh, and the list above it, we changed, he originally had B up in the first section of 8 as simply universal design, inclusive design. He didn't want to say consultant. Oh, but that means a person. And we're like, yes. And we added on the tables, the first table, only the 20.1 on the first one, successful engagements.
We're on page 9.
Yeah, included the at least one of which utilizes universal design. Well, that sort of is lip service to that being important, but point wise makes it so easy to blow that one off, those 10 points are gone. So he gave in and added that for the 10-point and 5-point options as well. So, but I'm unsettled about the amount of flexibility. I don't want us to end up with another place that we're saying in hindsight, it was a big mistake to build the Pleasant Street Center where we did, which you'll hear from Sally Hoyt and the others now. And it's because it was pretty and it's quaint and all those nice things, and it's done some nice things, but was it really the best choice when they had all the options back then? And I think if we don't bring in people who really are focused on universal design and focused on seniors, that we're not very much at risk of, that's a great building, and by the way, it could have an indoor track,
Yeah, so actually, that's another thing to put on there, Nancy, the evaluation criteria
Yes.
is fuzzy.
Yeah, which I know is intentional, but
I know,
I think it's a little too fuzzy.
there are ways. And anything else? I have, I had a number of concerns, but all through it says senior/community center. And I said to him, I would like it to say what Recalc said, which they later changed, which I disagreed with. Senior center/community center with designated senior space. And he was like, yeah, but what do we need a community center? And wouldn't it be great to have a community center? And I said, yeah, but Recalc's primary recommendation was to focus on senior center needs. So I would like that in there, that
What page you on now?
well, it's all through it, but on page 3, all the way down, in the spring of 2023, it says senior/community center, but that's all the way through it. And I would like it to be more specific. It can't just say community center, because if I were a consultant, it would be a community center.
Well, also the select board is going to be approving this.
Yeah.
And we can say talk all we want, but they're the ones.
Exactly.
So are we going to the meeting next week?
Can.
We should.
Yeah, we should.
Because that's.
Yeah.
How are we gonna be told?
Well, they did that when the preliminary designs.
Yeah.
They had it right there on the artwork.
So can
But when you read on from that, potential new senior community center in town that will focus on residents age 60+.
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of cover it?
I want
In
it
that spot.
very clear, senior/community center, what does that mean? And what does community center mean? And it was supposed to say and or. That's what was in the survey. That's
Why does it have to say community center?
Fidel
Well-
said that he,
because the
Yes, sir.
select board put it in.
But
Why
he
can't
said there,
why not a cultural center?
Well,
they didn't think.
When I
of it.
hear community center, I'm thinking of basketball courts.
And when I think of it as community education, which is I was sharing this with Chris.
So,
He said that he believes, and he said there are others that believe it, but he didn't have any names, that the odds of our selling this to the town are better if you make it a community center.
That's what it is, and that's been my problem all along. I don't understand why whoever within the community do not respect the seniors that have given in the past to this community, are still paying their taxes, and why they can't just go and say a Reading Senior Community Center for active living.
Yeah.
Why?
that's, you know what, that's everybody's question around the table.
Yeah.
And no one has a good answer.
It has to do with funding, I'm sure. There's probably no funding for just a senior center, but for
There's no
community.
funding for either one.
There's no funding for either one. Can I ask Nancy if she could put all of our comments into, she's a very good wordsmith, put all of our comments into a letter.
Yeah.
That when we go to the select board meeting, we can read the letter. At the beginning. We have 10 minutes, each person who gets up to speak. And if they like you, they give you a couple minutes more.
Another thought, could we state to them, this all started because the town is in need of a Reading senior center. Who put in the community center
Well, we
and how
know,
did it
but we
change?
know who did, and we can't go back. We can't go back, we can only go forward.
That I know.
There's been no senior center
60
special
plus,
ad hoc
let's
group.
also
Isn't
try
it?
to get this, say 60 plus,
Yeah.
not senior, because there
Yes.
is a lot of, that's a trigger for some people, so 60 plus.
Yes, I agree.
The other thing too is if there are several of us a quorum, then we have to call a COA.
Well,
But that's what it says, 60 plus right here.
in one
Yeah,
spot,
but
in
in
one
one
little
spot.
paragraph in the midst of
But
16
If you're a
pages.
consultant, you're focusing on senior/community
Yes.
center.
Jenna, can you schedule us to have a meeting coinciding with the select board in case a quorum comes?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I keep saying why, I've challenged Mark on this a million times, I've challenged Fidel, and they both look at me with doe eyes and say, what do you think we've been doing? And I say, we've been looking at community centers, because I keep saying, there's never in this town been a concerted effort to do just what you're saying, we need a senior center. And it's always couched with something else because we don't think people will agree. And by the way, a lot of other people are going to benefit from something else that won't necessarily benefit seniors. And I point to North Andover. I encourage everyone. I would love for us to get on the van and take a field trip. They just opened their new senior center, and it's like God's gift to senior centers. It's just the parking lot. It's huge and it's flat and it's got handicap spots all over.
Can we do that, Chris? Could we take them in to go visit?
And it's called the senior center. I know they had a squabble in town, community versus senior, and they won. It's a senior center, period. That they're happy to let other people use it for other purposes if there's spare time, just as we would. And as we are now at the Pleasant Street Center, nobody wants it. But anyway.
All right, so I think the way that we're gonna resolve this, we all agree that there
We all
are,
agree, we can't say that.
no, we,
Was suggesting.
well, I'm not suggesting, I'm telling you. Anyways, I'm on camera.
Yes.
And I'm the chair.
You are, you're the chair.
So anyways, Nancy's gonna draft up a letter. She'll send it to all of us.
I'll send it to you if you would send it out.
Oh,
Just make sure
okay.
that it's done
Yep.
properly.
Okay.
BCC'd.
And if you have comments, when I send it out, send back the comments only to me. Don't do reply all, because that's against the rules. All right, so it is
8:43.
8:43. I think we've completed all of our business.
We did good.
Yeah.
Excellent first night as chair and as secretary and as ongoing vice chair.
So do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Your
you.
finger's any good?
Guess what?
Can you put that on for me?
Now we're gonna go with it.
Thank you.
I read an article online about Arlington and their seniors were fighting for a discount on parking. I will bring up one of these days.